Hello, my name is Hal today. I'm here to read the Daily Reflections book for August 24th, 2026. It's called A Riddle That Works. It may be possible to find explanations of spiritual experiences such as ours, but I have often tried to explain my own and have succeeded only in giving the story of it. I know the feeling it gave me and the results it has brought, but I realize I may never fully understand its deeper why and how. That's from As Bill Sees It, found on page 313. Excuse me. I had a profound spiritual experience during an open AA meeting, which led me to blurt out, "I'm an alcoholic." I have not had a drink since that day. I can tell you the words I heard just prior to my admission and how those words affected me, but as to why it happened, I do not know. I believe a power greater than myself chose me to recover, yet I do not know why. I try not to worry or wonder about what I do not yet know. Instead, I trust that if I continue to work the steps, practice the AA principles in my life, and share my story, I will be guided lovingly toward a deep and mature spirituality in which more will be revealed to me. For the time being, it is a gift for me to trust God, work the steps, and help others. Period. At the end of the reading. So personally, I'm having some issues with like a head cold kind of thing. Uh, but let's see. If you can read that, at least I'm not feeling dizzy right now. It's not a head cold. It's a, I don't know, it's a vestibular abnormality, I think, happening in my head. I was doing a lot of bizarre head movements yesterday, doing some flooring, and I think maybe I got some issues going on with the crystals here in their ear, except for they didn't shift entirely out of place, so I'm not feeling nauseous. Okay, so, and this ear, I cannot hear anything out of the left ear. Okay. Let's see, this is August. It's August. Let's read the 8th step. It says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And I have a pet theory of mine that says a couple of things. That step 8 is divided by a comma, and first half is make a list of people we had harmed. Second half of it is we become willing to make amends to them all. And I guess people call that piecemeal, or the way I had to work that particular step is piecemeal, bit by bit, a little, often. First things first, baby steps. I made a list, and if I have my little thing here, because I really didn't have any idea what to talk about today, even after reading that many times. Thus, you got the story about my head illness. And I don't see my pictograph readily available, but I made a list of people I had harmed. That sounds simple until this guy, Hal, started thinking about it. And when I started thinking, well, I harmed some people, naturally, I guess, I thought, why did I harm them? And the first answer I would come up with, probably in every situation, the first answer before I even say it, and sometimes there's not even that lag and I just blurt it out, I'm an alcoholic, like this guy did. This list of people I had harmed, I naturally thought to myself, Hal, why did you harm these people, those people? And my ego would say, they harmed me first. It was payback. It was due, an eye for an eye. They started it. They owe me. I don't know how else to put that. And that didn't cut it after, I don't know how long. It never worked fully, ever. Because I would still have these lingering thoughts of resentment and fear and anger, and confusion and anxiety and depression. I don't know if it's all attributable to this, but there was a correlation. There's something going on between me not being able to sleep well or relax or be peaceful when I've got thoughts in my head of harming people, and it's like they're in my head going, you harmed me, what are you going to do about it? I'm in pain, you caused it, help me. Those kind of thoughts. And it's very uncomfortable. And they're like 100% right. In many cases, somebody might have been having a fine day, and then my drunk self rolls into the situation, and things get heated, and I would end up verbally abusing somebody almost 80% of the time, probably more. While in my drinking days. And then it was almost 100% guaranteed in my first 2 years of sobriety that I would verbally assault you. Until I started to make these amends, because I didn't have my drug any longer. I was miserable. I stayed sober. There's all kinds of terms, white knuckle it. For that, I'll get too scattermind, Ed, to talk about that today. But this thing, what was my theory I launched into and didn't talk about yet today? That two parts of this step: make a list of people you had harmed, and then become willing to make amends to them all. Make a list of all people you had harmed. That was a big deal too. That I had a mental list, and then I had a written list. And the mental list, it's like, just, I'll never be able to make an amend to this person for whatever reason. Here's the people right now that I'm willing to make amends to. And then they went on the list. And that's kind of cheating almost in a way, because it's like, well, if I'm willing to, whatever, it's just like, these will be easy, these people, or these will be easier. They will still be difficult, but the people, anyways. So it took me a real long time there were far less than 20 people on this list of people that eventually made it onto the full, complete, sincere, honest, thorough list. Less than 20 people for sure. And it took me at least a decade, 10 years. And that wasn't like you could work it out an average thing. It was 2 per year for 10 years. It wasn't like that, but that's kind of, I mean, that you can think about it that way. What happened is the first people I was willing to make amends to were the ones closest to me, like a captive audience, my family members, either by blood or by association, marriage and such. Those people, they deserved an explanation, an apology, and for me to suffer in a way to make an amend to them for what I did to them. So, let's see. How did I become willing to make those amends to those people? That's what we're trying to discover here in these last, what do we got here? The 24th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This week we're still working on the execution of how we do this. We make this list of people, and then how do you make these amends to these people that were listed? That would be the action we did, the execution of the action of the thing, the methodology. Who's on your list? Who gets an amendment first? Should there be an order? I don't know. I don't even know if the literature states that. I just went with, you know what, I need to do something because I'm so miserable with anxiety and guilt, shame, and remorse that I need to do something. So I started with immediate family members. And see that I took care of, of like 4 people right away. And then, well, not right away. That took me 2 years. I knew what I was to do almost immediately. The first day of treatment. I had been to treatment before. I worked the steps before. I didn't do them very well, though, or thoroughly, or honestly. So I knew I had to have a list of people I had harmed, and I was to become willing to make amends to them all. And then in step 9, we are to actually make those amends, unless it's going to harm them or yourself. So this 2 years of this last time I got sober, that those 2 years would have ended 18 years ago. And into those 18 years, I spent another 8 years still making amends occasionally. Rarely occasionally, maybe. So the family members seem to have been less painful for me, or I don't know, it certainly, I didn't know this at the time, but they brought me the most relief to mend this relationship with a close family member, or maybe a previously close family member. To have that relationship restored was very powerful and worthwhile. So for whatever reason, I felt like, okay, these people might be less threatening, so I'll try with them. And like 4 people in my life were certainly more favorable towards me. They didn't have me arrested, and life went on much better from that point with them. So that still left a slew of people that maybe I hadn't even thought of or put on the list until deeper reflection came about. I think I'm through that now, though. I mean, it's been, like I'm saying, it's way over 15 years at least since, oh, that guy, remember that guy? I wonder if I could do something about this. And I've got something to say about that too, but not maybe today. 15 minutes. Yeah, I probably covered it in the second week here. August 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, those days. I may have covered this thing about dead people and people that are, there's just no way you can find them. And I guess the point is, if, see step 9 though, it says made direct amends, meaning I think that actual person, not like a cardboard cutout of that person, or maybe an actor, or like somebody that vaguely resembles this person that you had harmed, and then you make an amend to them. That's not a direct amend to the people you had harmed, unless it's going to cause damage to them or others, meaning yourself. Or so anyways, what I did was, see, we all have these people, I think, in our lives, or at least I did, where you just become an acquaintance with somebody. Say you keep going to the same bank tellers every week for like maybe your job or something. You're dropping off the weekly deposits. I've had jobs where I've done that, and it's like the night watch person, the guard, the teller, or somebody at the bank, and you can just keep seeing that same person in your life all the time, and maybe you've been curt or short or downright rude to this person for whatever reason. And so I didn't want to say those are people you run into, because I didn't want you to get the idea. But that type of relationship with these people, and sometimes that was troubling me. And what I haven't done this for a while, but I used to do a lot of traveling. And I would end up running into people, not like in a collision and causing damage that way, but becoming acquainted with these people, say at a campground or at a gasoline station or at a supermarket or at a motel or at a hotel or at a, I don't know, a convention or at a school, at a library, anywhere I went to. I had a real bad problem with people for a long time. And it wasn't really that I had a problem with people. I had a problem with me being drunk. Being drunk was the problem, because then everything else that was messed up got much more messed up. Okay, 18 minutes. Anyhow, we're in the third week here, I think, of the execution phase, I think. Oh, this thing about making direct amends. Well, how do you make a direct amend to a corpse, a dead human being? How do you do that? One way, I don't know if this is the or a suggested way. I'm not even sure if it's in the big book, but it's suggested somewhere. So I don't know how much validity there is, because I can't reference it directly right here, is to write a letter to this person you had harmed and make an amendment that way by listing what you did and then how you propose to fix it. But the person isn't available. They're dead. They're buried. They're burned up. They're ashes. They're, maybe by the time you see this, they're stranded on the planet Mars with Elon Musk. Anyways, they're somehow unavailable, like permanently. So how do you make an amend to that so you might be able to get some rest that night and relax again finally? Well, you write a letter and then talk here. I got an empty chair across the table here that I could just write this letter to this person and then read it to them like they were actually there. And this is powerful. So I did that for myself because I couldn't find the real people in a lot of the traveling circumstances. If I mentioned attendance at parks, national parks, at wayside rest areas, rest stops, those people, I felt horrible about the way I treated them. Yet it's like, how am I ever going to find, Bob or Alice at this roadside thing the difficulty of reaching the place again would be, number one, a serious concern because it's like 1,000 miles away or it's 900 or whatever. But the inconvenience isn't the issue. What the issue is become willing to make an amend to somebody should they become available or if you somehow make it available. Because if you're willing enough, you will travel maybe even to Mars to make an apology and an amendment for something you've done. If you feel strongly enough about it. I suspect one might go that far. I was certainly, because the people that I thought never ever would I make an amendment to them, rightly so, they were on the list. Eventually, begrudgingly maybe, because of the perceived threat that's involved, the pain, really, I guess, and the inconvenience, the expense, and all that. But the possible reward was great because, a lot of times in life, there's a idiom or an adage or a saying or a proverb or something covering this thing that what you least want to look at or do holds the answer or solution that you desperately need. Something to that ilk. That it's like, here's maybe an example. In my early days of recovery, the first time, it doesn't just, I kept getting a lot of guff or the same type of diagnosis from medical people, medical doctors. These are learned, trained, certificated board members. These are serious people that really probably know their stuff. It's not some fly-by-night guy in a bus somewhere with crystals. Whatever. Valid sources of a medical opinion, at least. Anyways, giving me the same kind of diagnosis. And every time my ego, it's like, it's not the smoking. I've been doing that forever and it's never been a problem. The end. Let's move on to what else could it be? And it's like, well, that's it. Basically, it's either the smoking or this or whatever. And it's those two things. And I wouldn't hear it. Denial. I would lie. I didn't believe the people. I wouldn't believe the people. I wasn't willing to do what it would take to fix what they had named as the problem. So, that's fear, weakness, whatever. So I forget the point. What's the title for today? A riddle that works. Oh, this I was talking about the dead people and how do you fix that? Well, you can write this letter thing, talk to them like they're across the table from you, make an amendment that way, and then so I went back around. I went thousands and thousands and thousands of miles on my motorcycle, having a much better kind of spiritual journey of making these amendments to the strangers, which is just a friend you haven't met yet. If you're in that kind of positive feeling mood, which I was, and that took years and well worth it. I don't know if well, anyways, so I did that, and it was a great relief on my psyche. My psychic mood went up a notch. I felt better across the board. All switches and lights were yellow, if not green now, instead of just flashing red like alert, anger, deny it, fight back, struggle, all that kind of stuff. Anyhow, the riddle that works, talking about a spiritual, I don't know, I think they called it experience, because something very similar happened to me at a meeting also, where this person says, I had a profound spiritual experience during an open AA meeting, which led me to blurt out, I'm an alcoholic. That's not what I did, but somebody had said something. Let's see if I can encapsulate my spiritual awakening experience, or the one that I figured worked, or the strongest one, because it wasn't the last and it wasn't the first. The most profound, maybe. They were all profound. But I had a super threatening experience after about 2 years of being sober, and it wasn't health related. It was career wise, and so I had this threatening deadline approaching, and I was freaked out thoroughly. So on a Saturday, I went to I did my normal regular routine, where I went and picked up my sponsee. I was sponsoring this fella, recovering alcoholic at the time, and we went to the meeting that we typically went to, and we did that. And at that meeting, I heard somebody say something that resonated with me, and it made me think, what am I so worried about this deadline for? And it was like that. The explanation was, because it's like, what am I worried about? They're not going to kill me. So what? Maybe something good will happen. I mean, I thought the odds were slim, but my perspective was probably wrong. And anyhow, the perceived bad thing that I thought might happen did not happen. So right there, that helped me with having faith in a lot of things. It's like, I'm probably thinking about this kind of not right in some way, whatever it may be. I tend to extrapolate to the catastrophe. I just think it's going to go the worst possible way, or I used to. I still say, I think, well, whatever. You know what? I had half a cup of half-calf coffee, and I'm lit up, man. I don't drink a lot of caffeine. When I have some, it really does the job. So what was I talking about? My spiritual awakening thing. So this typical, I had a bad, bad deadline approaching. I did my regular duty, responsibility, by the thing I enjoyed doing, actually, or one of the many things I enjoyed doing. Did that, had this realization, the actual experience where somebody had said something, and it caused me to think, well, I've got it made. I'm sober, I'm alive, I'm a human being, and then just a list of other things that I can be thankful, grateful for, that if I had been drinking would not be in my life. It's like, yeah, what am I worried about? And then someone else said something that gave me an opportunity to help this person. And because it's what they said was very close to what I was feeling, what I was really upset about. And I thought, hey, this it's not that big of a deal or something, or I have a way of maybe helping this person. If it's only just saying, hi, I'm Hal, you want to talk about this, something like that, because that's another thing I have a lot of difficulty with, is just only listening, period. The temptation is great to listen and form a solution and then give my opinion and advice, meaning well. And a lot of times people don't need that or want it, really. So being a human and, I don't know, becoming more aware of what a human does, but a well-adjusted human does, I start to understand that, well, just listening to somebody does something very useful. Anyhow, thank you for coming by here and listening to me. So I get great benefit doing these things. So I'll get back with you later. Until then, goodbye.